was an issue. That was something happening, and I just want you to kind of explain what's been going on with you, example, and Max Prep. You know.
Max Prep, so the ranking system. So Max Preps is one of a couple of major ranking systems. You got Max Preps, Insider Exposure, ESPN. There's some other ones out there, USA, but Max Preps in particular being one of the mainstream high school ranking systems, and for Player of the Year and those types of things. And so, you know, I got a message from Insider Exposure head CEO and president. John, he was doing his rankings and he wanted to rank us. And he's like, hey, you know, I talked with Basketball Bob, and who is voted one of the 100 most influential people, and actually voted one of the most influential scouts in the country. And he said, you know, one of the reasons they didn't want to rank us was because the girls don't go to school together. And I stopped and I said, what do you mean? I said, I'm at the school right now and I'm looking in the room and all the girls are in class right now, literally at this moment. I'll send you a picture of them. And he's like, oh, wow. He's like, I was like, yeah. I said, I'm not sure where Bob got the misinformation. You know, I said, but I'll reach out to him. I said, but our girls are in school. They would show up for school every day at 9 o'clock. You know, literally can't be late. You know what I mean? The same thing as they got all across the board. They finish their school days, you know, together. We have, you know, practice after school. They get done by 5 o'clock every day. And I'm like, so I'm not sure what the misinformation was. So I called Basketball Bob up, and he's a, man, he is a strong-willed veteran. You know, and I have a lot of respect for him in terms of his coverage and what he's done over the years for the craft. But I said, Bob, I think you have some misunderstanding about who we are as a program. And I said, I'd like to make sure that you have the proper information when passing on information. Now, he's not the final decider, but he's somebody that used to vet programs. I said, I don't think we've been properly vetted. I said, all of our kids are on the same curriculum. I said, you have another program out of Florida that you allow to be ranked. I said, we have the same supervisor to student ratio that they have. They have an online platform that's supervised the same way we do. I said, and our kids are in the same building. And and I said, for us, we actually have a third party vetter that actually does the grading systems. We have nothing to do with grading, nothing to do with any of those things. They have a tutor, they have a teacher or tutor, and then we oversee the particular schedules throughout the day. I said, so we actually go another layer in terms of accountability and in terms of oversight. And he's like, well, I didn't know that. You guys are a little further along than I thought. I said, no, we're not further along than you thought. We meet the metrics. He's like, well, the other program in Florida, they hired a lady out of Italy. I think he said she's out of Italy and she oversees it. She's an awesome lady. She's no nonsense. She's not about athletics. And I said, well, that's great. I said, well, our first year, I said, we hired Misha, who's my daughter. She has 3 degrees. She's more than qualified to be in a position. She had nothing to do with the athletic portion of it, though, too. All she did was academics the first year. And I said, she didn't grade it. She just made sure they're on site. We had an NCAA correspondent, had everything that you're supposed to have because we know the scrutiny that we would deal with. I said, and so we met the metrics then as well, too. We just didn't fight it with you because we were just trying to make sure we survived the first year. And I said, and so she's more than qualified. And so being a minority and being a woman in that position, I thought was amazing, you know, and it fit what we want to do, want to empower. So, you know, why not empower somebody we got in our own home?
This is what I see.
Okay, that's not my grade. That is not my grade.
This?
I have straight A's and 1 B.
Well, when it shows your pacing,
Well, it's
it
gonna
makes
be
that
like that.
right. So that's what I'm seeing.
Well, that's not what I see. I see
I'm telling you what I see.
I see A's.
And I bet you see a red line.
I sure do.
Okay. You see.
But yeah, and so he was like, well, I'm just not comfortable with the relationship closely to athletics and academics. I said, well, I just think that's unfair. You can't continue to move the goalposts. He said, well, if you add another sport like volleyball, then maybe, you know, I would do it. And to be honest with you, I'm not really comfortable with, you know, with the system that the way it's set up. And I don't really even like schools that are set up that way. I said, well, that's a whole nother conversation. I understand it's, you know, things are changing per se, and a lot of people don't like change. And I said, I just think that's kind of unfair for us to be given a different metric than that's what's out there already. I said, but that's, you know, that's your decision to make. We're gonna continue to work hard at what we do. And he passed him on other information, which we'll get into, tell me that was end up being vital. But yeah, so he decided to not recommend us being ranked, even though we met those metrics. And, you know, we're gonna continue to fight the fight.